Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in to the Raise Your Own Bar podcast. My name is Tamara Bucky, and I'm excited to be with you today. We have a special guest, Mr. Tyler Perea. Tyler is a comic from Fort Payne, Alabama, that I've had the pleasure of working with in the past, and he is an awesome entertainer. So, welcome, Tyler. How are you?
I'm doing great, Tammy. How you doing?
I'm great. It's so good to have you, and I love your backdrop here. You've got some serious property, or you on a nature
Oh,
reserve?
it's a beautiful backyard in the middle of Fort Payne. That's a crepe myrtle right behind me, and we have a lot of birds. We feed the birds, and these birds are getting fat over here, and they're eating all the seeds. It's expensive to keep bird seed. Did you know that?
Oh, I have tried to, yeah, I kept getting my bird feeder attacked by squirrels.
Oh yeah, that's what we have. We have like 10 squirrels come out. Chipmunks. We got a whole family of chipmunks now. But this is a great place to relax and a great place to clear my mind. So I like sitting out here a lot. This is kind of like my sanctuary type place, and I love being alone out here. It helps me a lot.
I love that. I've only got a small backyard, but it's my sanctuary too, just to like be with the plants and relax in the hammock. Like it's a really good way to just disconnect from the electronics and from the race that we're always in every day.
The rat race.
Yes. And I'm not a rat, okay? So don't
Yeah,
treat me like one. Although I do like cheese, I'm not gonna lie.
I love cheese. Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese is my favorite cheese.
Hmm. I don't know if I could pick a favorite, but I can't pick a favorite anything. But I love feta cheese and I love um sharp cheddar, like extra, extra sharp cheddar. And pepper jack. If I'm gonna make a
Oh
cheese
yeah.
sandwich, I'm going with the pepper jack every time.
Provolone. But anyways, yeah, that's a lot about cheese. Yeah, talking
Well,
about
it makes sense. We're comedians, so of
yeah,
course we're cheesy.
yeah, we are cheesy. I'm cheesy. Yeah, yeah,
But man, I love your backdrop. I love your vibe, and you definitely need to invite me over sometime so we can chill in
I
the
mean,
backyard
well, I
because
got
it
a
looks so fun.
big old pile of wood to burn. I got to burn before May because in Fort Payne, or no, in DeKalb County, you can't burn from May until November.
Oh,
It's not it's a burn ban, but it's for the ozone layer. Something
huh.
about the smoke will go in between the mountains from here to Chattanooga and mess everything up. And
Mm.
what's great about Fort Payne is that you can put anything on the side of the street and they'll come and pick it up.
They'll do that in Huntsville.
They will.
Oh yeah, they got a
I
claw they
mean,
run around.
whatever it is.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah.
That's great. That's great. Oh, and if it's just a big couch or whatever, still put it out there. Somebody's coming and
Mhm.
get it. I've gotten a lot of couches from people's curb. You
I'm
know,
not gonna lie, I have been a trash picker myself because people throw out perfectly good stuff all the time.
all the time.
And for example, all of my raised beds in my garden, with the exception of one of my raised beds, and I have eight. They all came from reclaimed wood that we pulled out of a dumpster. And I've even gotten like I've done some clean outs of rental properties in the past for a friend of mine who has a bunch of rentals. And they people leave all kinds of stuff. I've gotten so many tools and
Mm,
supplies, like brand new 2x4s,
yeah,
brand new pieces, sheets of drywall, like
that stuff is expensive now.
yeah.
You know, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I got a really good score actually last year. Two uh VHS players that work perfectly well. Like they're both
VHS players.
VHS. Yeah. I was like, these are definitely coming home with me. Yeah.
Wow.
You can't
You
even
can't
buy a
even
VHS
find
player. Mm-mm.
you can't even find VHS players at trade day.
I know. I got two of them.
That's awesome. I wonder how much. Did you look and see how much they are,
I did
or how much?
not. I didn't bother. But it's definitely one that's like built in to have like a system with it. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
more than just the VHS player. It's like part of a unit that you hook up speakers and other stuff to. So yeah. But I'm not gonna get rid of it. So I don't even want to bother looking it up because then it might be
There
too
you
cheap to
go.
try to put on eBay.
Yeah, there you go.
I still have a DVD player too, which those are hard to find now, I guess.
But how crazy is it that the technology just jumped so fast from VHS when we grew up in the 90s? It's VHS tapes, and you had to rewind them and all that,
Hmm.
and then here comes the DVDs, and they just wiped out VHS quick. Well,
And then
DVDs lasted.
Blu-ray, which what was
Yep.
I still don't even know what the hype was with Blu-ray.
I don't. I never even owned a Blu-ray disc. Never even watched one. Didn't have to. And now you can stream everything. Everything's up to stream, especially if you got a Fire Stick.
Well, as
You know,
long as you have internet and, as long as you have a converter, some way to actually watch it, like a software that'll allow you to view it. But my concern with that is I don't own it because at any time it can be gone from my digital library. And, you know, how does that help me?
yeah.
So I'm paranoid, but
There you go. Yeah. Do you hoard DVDs?
I don't hoard them. I don't have a ton, but I have some. And if I come across stuff, I don't purposely seek them out, but
There you go.
yeah. But I hoard books like crazy.
Oh, what,
I I have this bookshelf behind me, and I actually have four of these.
you read all types of. You read all different things.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of self help. I have a lot of like psychology, leadership type stuff behind me here. But then like my one across the way, it's all like fantasy, sci-fi, murder mystery, things like that. And then I have a ton. I really like books. I found some books in the attic of one of my rental properties that they're all from like the 30s and 40s. And I'm going to keep them because they're all like school
They're in good
books.
shape.
Yeah, they're in great shape. They were in a box in the attic, and we redid the roof, and we're putting new drywall in one of the rooms. And we had to tear out the ceiling and everything. And we found all kinds of cool stuff up there. But these books are like school books. It's like science and English and history, and like they were used for, I don't know if it was elementary school or high school or college. I don't know. I haven't looked too much into it.
Mm.
But piece of history, it's kind of cool. But I like a real book. I don't do like the Kindle. I don't really like reading on
Oh, yeah.
like the
Well,
feel
and
of
you
it.
definitely, you're probably the type to not like audio books either, do you?
It depends on I do sometimes. Like I've definitely downloaded audiobooks when I was traveling, like flying or driving, but I'm more of a podcast person. I love
I
listening to
love listening.
podcasts.
Yeah.
But I'm writing a book and I plan on recording myself reading it.
That is awesome. How's
Yeah.
that journey been? Like, and when did you start writing it? And you ain't gotta share whatever you don't want to, but okay, from your very first step, what was your very first step?
I started writing it almost 3 years ago. The first step was signing up to do a speech on the topic of imposter syndrome in front of a big group of people in Las Vegas. And I really have a big hang up with imposter syndrome. I've talked about it on the pod before, but if you're not familiar, it's this sense of like you're faking it, you're a fraud, you're going to be found out at any moment, that you're not supposed to be here. And regardless of what you accomplish, or perhaps even more so after accomplishing things, you just feel like you're just continuing to be a fake and a fraud. And so I wrote a speech about it. And as I was writing the speech, I realized like I have a lot to say about this. And I've come up with some good tips and ways to like mitigate it. Not really get rid of it because I think it's still going to be a part of me, but I've learned how to deal with it for the most part. And so I thought, well, maybe I could write a book as well. The speech is one thing, but that's only an hour conversation versus I have so much more to say. And so I started writing it then. I have a draft. I've had a draft for a year, over a year. And I've been in edit mode. And I put that in quotes because a lot of my edit mode is me ignoring the problem and not looking at it and pretending it doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
It's so hard to edit. Like I got some feedback from a couple of beta readers that are friends of mine, and their feedback is valid, but I have to make a lot of edits, and it's very intimidating, and I feel like a loser. And my imposter syndrome is like, well, how could you write a book about this when you are still struggling with it? And so, kind of
Hmm.
where I'm at.
So the edits ain't grammar or nothing like that. It's changing how you word things or what?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is the cohesiveness. Like when you write a chapter, it needs to follow a certain flow for the reader to be able to understand it. And I'm ADHD, so I'm all over the place.
It's all over the place. It's pinballing.
Yeah,
It's a pinball machine.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can be redundant. So I'll say the same thing again. I might say it in a different way, but I'm saying the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing. And so it's like, well, why are you repeating yourself?
I do the same. Yeah. I don't write a book, but I do the same type of thing. Yeah.
It's just like comedy. You just got to edit it down, right? You got to
Yeah.
trim the fat, get
Oh
to the meat
yes.
of the
File it
story.
down. Yes.
Yeah.
When you first when I got this new joke, what excites me doing comedy now is when I have a new joke that I know is going to be a banger that I can just feel it. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to tell it. And I am right. I've been right 110% of the time. Well, it's only 100% of the time. There's no 10%. It's just 100%. But anyways, but I'll get laughs, and then I'll think, damn, that very first rough draft that you did, it could be better. It could be worded better. It could take out this word, shorten it, and like you said, well, filing it down and shorten it up and making it hit a lot harder by doing that. And just what's crazy is just sometimes how you just say a word, if you make a little bit of a pitch up or down, can make it hit harder, or
Hmm.
changing one word. And that's what's crazy about comedy, and that's what I love about comedy, is how much of a puzzle it is. It's my life, but I have to, like you're writing a book and how you're wanting to get it to flow. Well, I'm wanting my life in jokes to just start flowing, not necessarily in chronological order, but in a way to where my whole set, if I'm doing 15 minutes or whatever, I want to be able to hit hard at the beginning, get something in the middle, and have a good closer. But I want to be able to tie in the whole thing. So I've gotten to that level, and there is a lot of levels to comedy. And when I first started out, I done good to just start out, but I thought I was too good, and I got humbled a couple times because you can get humiliated. It, it can be ruthless. It can
Oh yeah.
be ruthless, and but but then mentally where I'm at now, I used to, what hurt me a lot was fear, was not being confident enough to say my joke, uh and be able to let it go, let it go, and not that fear can hold you back to of um a lot of mistakes, because you're second guessing yourself. You got to be uh like some of these people around here where I live, uh, some of them should try it and some of them shouldn't try it. It's not for everybody, but I've had some people come up to me and like, "Hey, I've seen people do crowd work. I'll just get up there and I'll just start killing with the crowd." I was like, "You're gonna eat shit, dude. No, you already too full of you don't know what you're doing. You don't." Um,
And crowd
I'm
work
like,
is not easy. Like it
"No,
looks like
no,
you're
it's
just
not."
talking, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's not that simple.
yeah. So, yeah, like they think that. So you work? You work? No, I don't work. You work? Do you work? And yeah, they don't have a clue how. To me, that's why I'm working at now, is more crowd work. And when I first started I've been doing comedy for 4 years, and it's been an awesome journey. The first 2 years was very rough. Um, I was cutting my teeth in. I you have to you have to be wary on who all you're hanging out with all the time there, and what you tell people and all that, and you need to know that that if you just focus on yourself and the people that comes up to you for advice, and that who are really is serious about doing comedy, help who you can when you can. But to me, having a big circle is that's not for me. That's for other people, but that's not for me. I have a lot of friends that when I see them, we'll drink a beer, we'll hang out and all that. But as far as having a big inner circle now, I've gotten more used to. I've get, I've gotten to where I love being by myself,
Mm.
and that's helping me a lot. I love everybody that I've come up with. I've got a cool class of comedians that I've been coming up with from Huntsville, Birmingham, and Chattanooga, and it's a joy to get to see each and every one of them grow in their comedy. That's what's great. Every time you see them, they're getting better.
Mm.
And when I first started out, it took me 2 years to even get on stage after I started writing. I started writing uh,
Wow.
when I worked in the steel mill, and it's
Two
a
years?
yeah 2 years. I wrote for 2 years. Well, this is what happened. After I'd say about 5 years ago, I uh, I have to go to a mental hospital, and I stayed for 8 days as a court ordered stay, and I needed help at the time. I was I was in a dark place,
Mm.
and before that, I didn't know. I didn't. I had at some points in time, I had a problem grasping to reality, and I didn't have no impulse control. Um I was real lax in that, and I didn't know how to control my emotions or my mind at all. And I thought I did. I thought I did, but clearly I didn't. So I ended up going to the mental hospital, and that's where I got diagnosed with bipolar 1 from a team of mental health professionals, some psychiatrists, psychologists, nurse practitioners. They all agreed, yeah, you're bipolar. And I was like, okay.
That was your
And
first time being diagnosed?
yeah, that was my first time. And see, mental health is just now coming around. You know, a lot of people just you're either well back in the not too long ago they wouldn't call it mental health. They'd call you being a piece of shit or a crazy bastard or something like that, and that's all it was. But you do some things that you regret and some things that you'll never live down, and but that's the price to pay for not being able to control your own mind.
Mm.
And there at the mental hospital, it was a good one. It was in Coleman. I forgot the name of it, but they was teaching meditation there and breathing exercises. They was teaching people how to breathe, and I was like, damn, this helps me a lot. And that's the first time I realized that I haven't. I've been breathing, but I haven't been breathing. I haven't been learning how to control my breath in, deep breath out, and
It's
and
amazing how just doing that a couple of times can really calm you down. If
yeah,
you're stressed, if you're scared, if you're anxious, whatever the case might be, it really can calm you down. Even
Yeah.
just 3 deep breaths like that, where you control. I have a tendency to hold my breath. And I think I trained myself when I was a kid because there was always like fights and stuff going on in my household. And I would be afraid a lot. I was anxious a lot because there was always something could pop off. There was, some alcohol abuse and some drug abuse and some violence and things, and that was just always around. And I think I learned to hold my breath maybe out of fear, but then it became a habit that kind of like I find myself doing it even now. I have to force myself to breathe. And then when I do, I have to force myself to breathe deeper because just breathing shallow breaths, you're really not getting that much oxygen. And so you're not going to think as clearly. That's why you got to take the deep breaths.
Mm, yeah, that's pretty much what they was saying. But also I colored a lot in there. I
I
mean,
love that.
yeah, I actually got a couple of pictures I colored um, framed on my wall, and one of them is grateful, and it's cool. Man, I got out of my head and everything. I haven't colored since. Probably need to start coloring again.
Well,
So,
just people don't realize the value of sitting down and doing something like that. Like to some people, they might be like, oh, that's kid stuff. But what it does is you're busy with your hands, which allows your mind to wander in a safe way.
mm,
Instead of like dwelling on stuff, like it kind of allows you to be more free. It's almost meditative in a way. Like
it is.
I love coloring. I have a whole stack of coloring books on my shelf that I will pull out if I feel really stressed. And just the idea of creating something, because when you're done, you're like, oh, it's pretty. Look what I did. It gives you a nice little boost mentally.
Mm-hmm. Man, my daughter, we color together. She loves coloring, so we color together, and I got a whole bunch of some really cool coloring books. But after that, I'll go back to work. After I get court ordered out, I found myself not talking to people like I used to. I was like, okay, I just need to control what I say too, because I'm not like other people. I'm gonna say things that normal people won't say on a daily basis, but not no bad threatening things or anything like that. I just say some crazy shit from time to time, you know. Um, but but I learned how to think before I speak. That took me 32 years, 32 years to get that one.
I'm still
Think
working
before
on
I
that one,
speak.
Tyler.
Huh?
I'm still working on that one, Tyler.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I'll slip. Um, but I go back to work and everything just felt like, hey, it's gonna get better. Everything's gonna get better, man. And and I would be talking to my coworkers, and I would realize I was making them laugh pretty easy, you know. And and then I had this thought, well, you need to write that down. Scott, what am I going to do with it? I didn't even have comedy in my head at this point. I was like, I don't know. And so I kept noticing it, and it started getting louder and louder. Um, the more I would make people laugh, the louder it would get to write it down. Write it down. And so I ended up filling up 5 or 6 notebooks full of this stuff.
Oh,
And because I had them post-it papers with me and a pen everywhere I went, I had that. I didn't have no notes in my phone or nothing like that. I do that now. I write notes in my phone. It's a lot easier to keep up with that instead of like 18 notebooks full of stuff, you
for
know.
sure. And I've had I've had the misfortune of losing a notebook one time
Yes.
after a gig, and I went back. I was only gone from the place. It was a bar downtown. I was gone for like 30 minutes and came back and it was gone. And I was pretty sad because it was all the material I had at that point. I was only like 2 years in,
Yeah,
but it was everything I had. That
everything.
that
I
was
bet that was a
devastating.
terrible feeling, wasn't it?
It was, and I switched to digital after that. I still write stuff down on paper once in a while, and I use my whiteboard sometimes, but I'm real good about taking pictures of it.
Mm, yeah.
But I'm curious, were you into stand up?
Oh
watching
yeah,
it,
okay.
or
Yeah. Growing up, when I was a kid, my dad, he was a character. My dad, he was a funny guy, just a free spirit, pretty much, but irresponsible, just irresponsible, bad. I love him to death, and I miss him dearly. He's dead, been dead for over 10 years now. He had
Mhm.
liver cancer. That's how irresponsible he was. But anyways, uh, I had a great childhood. We would sit and watch a comedy special when they had them on HBO. So I grew up watching Richard Pryor, um, live at Sunset Strip. I was watching George Carlin, um, Lewis Black, Ron White, and Rodney Carrington, and several others. But I recently saw Rodney Carrington in Rome, and my God, he he's about to film a special or something.
Rome,
He's the best.
Georgia.
Yeah, he he is Rodney from the '90s when I loved Rodney Carrington. He had that one spell where after his divorce, he kind of fell downhill a little bit, gained weight, but no, he's a killer, man. He had us in tears and laughing hard as hell. And I told Holly, my girlfriend, and I was like, I suck. I suck. Now this is what greatness looks like. I was like
Yeah.
everybody that I've seen. I was like, no, this is where I want to get to. Rodney was a great show to say. I was like, that's the level. That's not where I want to get to. That's the level I want to reach in comedy. I want to be good. I want to be. I want. This is my craft. This is my trade. And so I started writing like that for 2 years, and I was like, how in the hell am I going to put this writing um, in in use? What am I going to do? And I thought about writing a book, and I was like, I can't form sentences well. I was like, writing a book would be a terrible idea. It'd be a terrible idea. I ain't gonna. My mama won't even read it, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to do comedy, but how? And just so I guess the algorithm just heard me talking about comedy, and I see Huntsville Comedy open mic at Madison Station, and when it was that old just biker bar, and it was a
Mhm.
good time because you open them doors, you're like, yeah, I ain't the worst thing in here. So everybody, yeah, it was such a cool vibe, and I had my buddy Brandon with me, and he was like, you know what you're gonna say? I was like, yeah, roundabout
And you
thing.
didn't know any of the comics at that point in the
No,
scene?
no, I didn't.
Oh wow.
Oh
I was
well,
thinking Roy had brought you into the
yeah,
scene.
okay. I skipped that part. Before I go, I saw that advertised before I messaged Roy because right after I see that open mic, I see Roy's friend suggest friend suggestion on Facebook, and he's got a cigarette in his mouth. He's sitting on the stage with a trucker hat. With a microphone up to his mouth, and I was like, "Oh, this guy might know." He might know where I could start. And so I sent him a friend request. He accepts it. Then I immediately messaged him and I said, hey man, I really want to get into comedy. How do I get into comedy? And he was like, well, you need to go to open mic and stuff. And he was like, I'll meet up with you and explain some things to you if you want to. I was like, yeah, man. And I was just so full of excitement. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is it. Well, meeting Roy for the first time, I bring my brother with me, and we're at this Mexican restaurant, and he kind of looks concerned and everything because I just got this look in my eye, like, man, I'm gonna do it. This is my lane, man. I am destined for this. And I was telling him this first time I ever met him. He was like, all right, well, you need to go to open mic and see how you like it first. I was like, okay. And so he told me about the one at Madison Station. I just end up that Sunday. It was on Sunday nights. That Sunday I told my buddy, I said, hey, I want to go to this open mic. You want to ride with me? He's like, yeah. We go up there and I see the stage. It's nothing glamorous there, but there's a lot of people in there. But there's a lot of comics, and at that time, a lot of the comics came to that mic, and Matthew Tate was hosting it. And I go up to him. I said, "Hey, it'd be my first time. You got any advice for a first timer?" And he said, "The only advice I can give you is to force yourself on stage. Get up on that stage. Don't worry about nothing else. Get up on that stage, get the microphone." That's all he said. And that was the best advice that I could have received at that time. No, no, like let me see your jokes or not like that. You just get your ass up on that stage. And I did. And I rambled for 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes because I asked him, I said, "How much time do I got to do?" He said, "Well, you got 10 minutes, but you don't have to do the whole 10 minutes." And I said, "Okay." Well, I did the whole 10 minutes, but it
You
wasn't,
used the whole 10
I
minutes.
did the whole 10 minutes, but I rambled. I rambled the whole time. There was punchlines was unorganized. There wasn't even no punchlines. There was like sympathy laughter. I did get one little chuckle. And that got me, and I was like, well, it could have been a lot worse. You know, they said they could have said they wanted to kill me or something, but no, it was great, and everybody was encouraging, and it was a great night. Now my buddy on the ride back, he was like, "Man, that sucked." I was like, "Yeah, I know." I know that. You know, he said, "Well, you know, it ain't about um your first time being on stage. It's are you gonna go back? Are you gonna go back?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna go back." And I had to cut my teeth in on a lot of open mics and learn. The first thing that I learned was during that rambling uh, that I did on my first open mic. I felt alone up there. And I've
Mm,
never felt that alone in my life. And I felt
mm,
lonely. And I thought I've been lonely. And like, oh, I'm so alone. You know, woe is me. No, I get up on that stage and it's by myself. There ain't no coach there. They're just like, come on, let's, and I was like, oh, this is what this feels like. This is weird. And I got a microphone and it's all on me. Everybody's depending on me to make them laugh. Ah. And so I've gotten to where I love that. I love that. Well, let's go. And
They say it's like they say comedy is the purest art form because it's just you and your thoughts.
yeah,
There's no crutches, there's no props, there's no
no,
script. It's just you and your thoughts. And I love that. I
yeah.
love the thrill of being on my own, although it is very intimidating. I know.
I'm I'm going along and I ended up getting good. Well, I mean, I'm not nowhere near where I want to be at all. But getting a lot better than what I was. Being able to, have consistent laughs throughout my whole set, and I'll drink maybe 2 or 3 beers before. Before I was having to get drunk because I was getting so nervous. I was getting so nervous before, and then I realized, well, that's hurting me terribly because I'm getting incoherent. I'm getting, I'm just, it's not fun for nobody. So I had to realize that. But that can also transfer over to substance abuse in the real life. Like,
Mm,
hey, moderation is the key because, and it is. And, if you can't hold a sentence with somebody, uh, you know, you might want to save a conversation for the next day or stop drinking so much.
mhm.
Uh,
I get that. I've gotten drunk before at gigs way early in my comedy career, and it was embarrassing. And I saw the video back. I think I watched like 1 minute of it and I was like, no, I can't
yeah,
even watch that. It was so bad. Um, but I do like to have one
yeah,
beer
yeah,
before I go because it does take the edge off. I've done it dead sober because I've done a lot of corporate gigs and things at like corporate events where there's no alcohol. I'm not going to just like bring a shot with me to do before I go on stage. But it definitely helps having
yeah.
that little bit of liquid courage. That's
You
a
know,
lot.
I like getting loosey goosey, but yeah, I don't like getting drunk or too buzzed. I like being able to move and flow, and yeah, it's one of them things. But I ended up getting shows and getting booked, just shows here and there, and I've I bombed on one show and it hurt my reputation bad because I got
Oh,
too messed up, because I got too drunk, and but after that, that's what fixed me on that. I ain't gonna do that again. And so every show I do, I do it with the best of my ability, and my mind's good. I'm ready to roll. I got my jokes. Let's go. And I end up doing a biker gang show. Me and Roy did. It was a gang of bikers, and we didn't
hmm.
know this. And I wasn't even supposed to be on the show, but this is the type of places that comedy can take you, and the type of times that you can have. Because uh, that was a great night. But what happened was Roy got the show. And this is in LJ, Georgia. This hotel was rented out, and it was sold to Roy as a Harley Davidson rally. That's what it was. Going to be 1,000 people there.
Oh,
$100 for the gig, whatever. And he's like, "Hey, you want to come and film and just hang out and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll come." Well, that Friday, I just did a show for the guy that's supposed to be on the show with Roy. He's from Rome or Georgia, out in that way. And me and Roy, we're driving to LJ, and he texts me. He said, "Hey man, I'm not going to be able to make that show in LJ. Can you fill in for me?" And the window of opportunity here, I said yes. I said yes, I'll do it. Supposedly going to be 1,000 people there, Harley Davidson rally. I was like, all right, let's go. And he was like, yeah, just do 15 minutes. I was like, okay. And so we're taking Roy's school bus yellow Jeep Liberty to LJ, Georgia, because it's great on gas. Just bright Jeep Liberty. We pull up. There is hundreds of bikers in their cuts, and I'm not going to announce the biker club, but they was an official club, and they all had guns and everything like that.
oh.
And but it was a private party. They rented out this nice hotel in LJ, Georgia. We pull up, and he just looks. He said, I I don't know if this is a Harley Davidson rally or a biker gang. I said it could be both. And he said
Yep.
he said yeah, we drive up here in my lesbian mobile, and in front of all these bikers, and what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I was like, well, we need to get out and mingle. We need to mingle. They know that we're coming. We've got to mingle with these bikers. And he said, all right, well, let's get out. And we got out, and I was just bebopping along. I wasn't going to leave them behind. And so I waited on them to get out. And they have armed security at the gate. They're all bikers too. And they was like, hey, who are you? I was like, hey, we're the comedians. Oh, okay. Well, you got to go see Guardian. Guardian's our local president. I was like, okay, who's Guardian? He said that big dude, that big bald headed dude with that Glock 19 on his side. I said, okay, that guy. I go up to him. I said, "Hey, are you Guardian?" He said, "Yeah, I'm Guardian." And I was like, well, we're the comedians. I'm Tyler. This is Roy. He's like, "Oh, great! You want a beer?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love a beer." Gave us a 16-ounce Coors Light. Uh, they had a trunk full of just tall boys. And they was cooking tacos, and Guardian is like, okay, y'all gonna go up before the band, and y'all just make yourself at home. Just don't be making fun of the club. I was like, well, why would we make fun of the club? that makes no sense. He said, well, the last comedian did it, and he hit every door jam on the way out.
Oh
So
God.
yeah, and I was like, oh, all right. I was like, we wasn't gonna make fun of y'all. Um, I was just gonna do my jokes, and so we met the host. The host is kind of new at comedy, and then he's like, hey, I've got this guy that's wanting to do his first time doing comedy here, and he's just gonna get 5 minutes. I was like, he's never done comedy before,
Mm.
and
Was he one of the bikers?
no, 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 he wasn't
Oh,
at all. He
because I
wasn't.
feel like that could be okay if he
Yeah,
was one of the
me
bikers.
and Roy was about the only ones that has ever done comedy, and there's at this point there's like 400 bikers there. It's not 1,000 people, but it's about 400, and so the host gets up there and he tells them that he's a former correctionals officer and all that, and that nobody was. They had this big old tent, and the stage with the microphone was under this tent. This tent could hold about 100 people, with everybody up under it. He gets Nobody's under the tent except us. And he's like, everybody, get over here and get under the tent now. He's telling
The host?
bikers. He's telling bikers now. He said,
Uh,
get under the tent now.
did
I
the
was
host know these people?
no, 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 no. He's just like, he don't, you know how
Mm.
some people don't have any self awareness
Any sense
about
of
them?
survival? Any sense of
Yeah, yeah,
survival? Because I feel like in that scenario, I would have a spidey sense of let's not piss these people off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I already knew, hey, just chill out, everything will be cool. Do your shit and they'll come to you. They'll come to you. Be
Yeah.
funny, man. That's what I had in my head. So he don't succeed at getting nobody. And
Mm.
until there's a couple of tables filling up, and then here comes this new guy. This new guy, brand new,
Oh,
he tells a never ending story. They start heckling him. No punchlines,
oh,
not making no sense. They start heckling him. I'm up after him. And I told myself I got to get to hopping. I got to do. I got to get to hopping. I
yeah.
can't mess around. I can't be like, hey, how you doing? I got to go in, pow, 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 and that's what I did. And I did that, and I started getting them to laugh after they pretty much was about to boo that guy off. I get up.
How long
I
did that guy
start.
do? How many
Well,
minutes did he do?
he did every bit of five. And
Okay.
and because I was looking at Roy, because I was timing it. I was timing it. Uh because this is a pretty big deal. Um so he did 5 minutes and he gets off, and then I go up and I come out, you know, just jump jumping on them, and I start getting them to laugh, and I even get a toast. It was Memorial Day. It was during Memorial Day, so I did a toast for the veterans and everything like that, and that was pretty cool. But I started seeing under the tent get full. They was coming because I was just focusing on my jokes that was working, and I started working the crowd a little bit. I was looking at people and stuff, and it got real fun. That's when it got real fun, is when I started working the crowd, and I was like, oh yeah, these motherfuckers are cool. They're cool as hell. And um and so 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 under the tent filled up, and then Roy did really great, and after that we ate good, drank beer, watched the band that they had, the Wandering Willows. They was amazing, blew me away. And the national president was there, and asked me and Roy if we would be interested in doing another one of their rallies, but in Florida. And we said yes. This was one of the funnest times I've ever had doing comedy. It was a good memory.
Wow. I wonder if that opener stuck with comedy.
Is what?
I wonder if the opener stuck with comedy or if that was his one and
Uh,
only time of ever giving it a shot. Because wow, what a bomb!
Well, yeah, he didn't realize how bad he did bomb, and I know that you've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people come and go, and and I still have people like, "Hey, man, I want to do comedy. I think I could do comedy." I was like, "Well, you just got to do comedy. Uh, and they never do comedy. They're saying, "Yeah, I got a real funny sense on I got a real dark sense of humor." Or like I'm really funny and like have you not seen what I put on Facebook and everything? I was like, yeah, man, go to open mic. That's all you got to do. Don't puff out your chest to me. Just go to open mic. That's what you got to do. And I don't know, like in a small town, it gets kind of weird. I don't know about big cities, but over here, it's kind of like crabs in a bucket type of mentality. You ain't gonna get a lot of support. Everybody's like, "Oh, are you even funny?" And one guy asked me that, and I was like, "I'm as funny as your relationships, dude." And so that's when I realized that stop getting angry, stop getting angry, and taking things personal. These people, this is new to this area. Stand up comedy. I mean, okay, they've had comedy before, clean comedy, clean Christian comedy. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not. I can do clean, but that's not what I do. Um, I don't do clean, and some parts in Alabama is still pretty like back in the day type thinking. Uh, I got some supporters that I've worked with, and I've taught people into doing comedy that should have done comedy, and they've done good at it. But then again, I've seen people quit just because it takes up too much of their life because they end up thinking rationally about it. Like, man, I don't love it like this, and some people don't. I do. I'm obsessed with it, and that's why it will put me on an island, being so obsessed with comedy, and I don't find myself hanging out with people much except my family, and that's fine. And I got a couple friends, and that's cool. And I got a little dog, a little long-haired Chihuahua that so excited to see me every day. I get home from work, she'll just start going into a seizure and convulsing and stuff and I'll start howling and she'll start howling and it's the best. I don't know why I ain't recorded it, but it's great. We
You
fade off
should.
each other's howls. So that's I look forward to getting off work every day just for that. She's sweet.
Well,
I yeah.
you brought up a good point about it's important who you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned crabs in a bucket, and it depends on who you're around because there are people that are your peers in your craft, and whether your craft is comedy or whether your craft is engineering or accounting or whatever, there's going to be people that surround you that are your peers that would like to see you fail. Because if you win, then they feel like you're taking away something from them, which
Yep.
is not true. But when you surround yourself by people that you know have your best interests at heart, then you all will succeed. And
Yeah.
sometimes if you can't find people, then it's better to be by yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
I love being by myself. I've learned to really enjoy my own company. And a lot of that came from just like quieting my own anxieties and insecurities and things. And I turn down stuff all the time because I'd rather just, I pick and choose wisely where I spend my time and who I spend it with.
Mm, yeah. I've gotten to that point and it's so peaceful. It's so peaceful and you ain't got to worry about uh yeah, it's gotten very peaceful and I love seeing people on the outs. Like if I see you out, it'd
Mm-hmm.
be great to see you and my other buddies, but damn, this pace is I ain't always been at peace and it gets addictive,
Yeah.
and uh I'm at a beautiful spot in my life. my 30s has been way better than my 20s, and I pray for wisdom, and I try to stay grateful and and immerse myself in gratitude, and but that's hard sometimes. That's hard, and that's hard to have compassion for some people sometimes. But learning to let bitterness and resentment go from my life has saved me too. Now, don't I mean I can get that bitter bug every once in a while, but damn, it's nothing like it used to be.
Well, and it doesn't help. I mean, feeling bitter, being angry, being jealous, like none of those emotions serve you to do better. If there's a difference in looking at somebody and being jealous of them and looking at somebody and being inspired by them.
Mm.
And to your other point about empathizing with people, like if you can put yourself in their shoes and try to understand where they're coming from, even if you don't agree with where they're coming from, you can at least kind of relate.
Mm.
That goes a long way. And if you can't, then it's best to just remove yourself from being around people like that, because it's not going to be a good situation.
Yeah. I well, to add on to that, I've made mistakes on staying too long when I should have left. Even though I knew it was wrong to stay in this type of relationship with this person, um, the vibes was off, everything was off, and you will always regret it, always. And learning how to go with the flow of life, that's been a challenge for me because again I have to learn to let go to get in that flow that I call it the divine rhythm, and I get in it every once in a while, but I can get right back out of it just as quick as I got in it, and it don't ever last long. But when I do get in it, everything makes sense, everything. And but I don't know everything either. It's just it's hard to explain because you know
You called it the divine rhythm. Where'd you get that?
that's what I felt. I
Huh.
felt that that's what it is.
So I call being connected to, like, I'm not religious, but some people
Yeah.
would say God. I would say source energy or consciousness. Um, when I feel like I'm tapped in, when I'm tapped into the universe, I may not know everything, but I trust that everything that I need to know, I can get access to, and I trust that everything's going to be okay. And you get into this like elevated mindset. It's almost similar to meditation. Is that the same kind of thing you're talking about?
Yeah.
Where you're
Yeah.
mentally
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
think you're literally on a different wavelength. Like you are
Yeah.
on like a higher wavelength in your brain. And
Yeah.
that's when I write. Like that's when I'm really creative, is when I'm getting that mindset.
I like writing in that mindset, and I also like writing in a like down, depressed type mindset too.
Mm.
Because when I'm depressed, I always pick myself back up when I start writing, and I just start going because I'll crack myself up because I'll write about why I'm depressed and what's going on, and then I'll just naturally something will hit me. I'm like, and I'll just start cracking myself up. I was like, come on, get up, you know. Now I know that some people it ain't like that. Depression, is real, and a lot of people struggles with that. I get depressed, but I mean, I don't. I know people struggles with it, but I struggle with not being able to turn my mind off, and writing helps a lot there too. But that's
Yeah.
also where comedy helps, not just writing, but comedy, doing comedy, stand up, teaches me how to focus because you have got to be focused when you're up there and you've got to be present. You've got to
Hmm.
be here and now. That's all that matters. When you grab that microphone, it's on you. It's on you. And
And you don't want to bomb. I mean,
no,
nobody
why
wants to
would
go
you?
up there and bomb.
Yeah, I don't want to bomb. Even if I get consistent laughs and everything, if they ain't where I want, I'm like, man, I could have done better. And then I watch the film on me and everything, and I'm like, damn, my performance need to get better. My jokes are solid, but I've noticed this, that I've got to perform better. I've got to be a better performer. Um, and that's the part of the journey that where finding your voice. When they say finding your voice,
Mhm.
uh, it's it's complicated. It is finding your voice in 3 words is summing up a whole big uh, complex system of comedy. And it's
I disagree with you there, but
go ahead.
I also have my reasons for believing this. So early on, I also struggled with my voice. I would try different ways of speaking. Um, I thought about, should I do a character like Larry the Cable Guy? Like there's a few people that do characters. Um, and I would even ask people, like when I met comics that have been doing it for a long time, like, how do you find your voice? And everybody just told me, like, you'll figure it out. It's going to take around 7 years, is what they would always tell me. 7 years. And I'll be damned if it wasn't around year 7.5 that I started really to understand it. Your voice is you when you're on. When you are on, and when I say on, meaning you are entertaining, you are cheerful, you are quick-witted, and it's just exaggerated you. It's you at your best in an exaggerated manner. It's you being a little bit more dramatic and flamboyant and expressive, but it's 100% you. There's no voice you have to find. It's just that you have to believe in your own voice.
That is a good point. I actually call that my Joker, and it's fucking weird and everything. Uh, but if I have a big show, I'm like, I got to bring that one out. I got to bring that guy out where I'm playful, like exaggerated me, where I'm playful, confident, but that's the best me so far is that playful and confident and being able to land my jokes and being able to play with the crowd a little bit. That's
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm not, yeah, that was a good point that you made. I like that a lot. Um,
But it really did take it took a little over 7 years
how
for me to
long?
figure that out.
How long you been doing comedy?
I think I started in 2012.
Oh, so tell me, why did you start comedy?
Um, well, I always been a clown. All right. I used to make people laugh. I did a little bit of theater and improv in high school and a little bit in college. And I've always just been like, I was voted class clown. Like I've just always been somebody who was just cracking jokes and picking at people. But I really didn't do anything with it until the scene started here in Huntsville. And a friend of mine, Casey, she was dating a comic, Thaddeus Blake. He's one of like the founding members of comedy in Huntsville, but he doesn't do comedy anymore. And so I would hang out with them, and she invited me to tag along, and I would always crack jokes. And Thaddeus was like, "Why don't you get up there?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I've kind of wanted to, but let me think about it." And so I just wrote some stuff down. And I used to do slam poetry, and so I kind of like used that as a segue. So I wrote a funny poem, and my funny poem did really well when I finally got the nerve to do it. I probably wrote it out and had like 3 months where I was like, no, I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready. And then eventually one night he's like, hey, I have an opening. Would you want to go up there and do 3 to 5 minutes? And I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, you're on in 5. And I was like, oh crap. Like I barely got there, right? So I went to the bar. It was at a bar. I went to the bar and I got a beer and a shot. And I took that shot and I grabbed my beer and I was like, all right, let's do it. And I did, and it went well. And then I just got addicted to it.
Mm.
And I
Now,
haven't done any other funny poetry, although I do rhymes a little bit here and there. But I only did poetry for that first one, and then I switched to just writing jokes.
how's music career going?
Music is so fun, and I think it's my ADHD, but I get on kicks where all I want to do is like one thing. And lately I've been on a music kick. I have written some funny music though, too.
Mm.
I wrote 2 parodies, and I'm thinking about maybe putting those out for the comedy side. But I'm writing like a blues, almost country album.
Oh, that's cool. Do you play any instruments?
Not well, but I do play guitar and keyboard, um, and I'm learning.
Oh, there you
I,
go.
it's just, I don't know. I have things that I get in my brain that I can't get out, like tunes in my head. And so I write it out as best as I can, like the lyrics, and then I will try to come up with a little tune and then go from there. I have a really good friend of mine who's a producer, and the funny thing is though is like everything I've put out so far has been rap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I like that. I love that one video. The duck.
oh gosh, yeah, bippity boppity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bippity boppity. I
yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah.
How I love that. That is one of my favorites.
You know,
Bippity boppity.
it is so goofy. It started out as like kind of a joke, and then I thought, well, this is actually really good. What can I do with this? Like I wanted to like sell it to someone to perform, but you can't sell a song unless you record it. And so I tried to get somebody else to do it, and it was awful. It was so bad. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to do it. And then I was actually really proud of it. I love it. It makes me so like it makes me laugh. I sing along to it. I don't listen to it much, but once in a while. And it's one of the most, I don't know, crazy, unexpected things that I'm the most proud of in my life. Like I literally have 4 degrees, Tyler, and I care more about creating that song. That was more of an accomplishment to me than
So
anything else
you're
I've done.
passionate. You're passionate about that. That's what you're passionate about.
Well, so for me, for you, you're like, my passion is comedy. For me, my passion is self expression. I have things I want to say, I have messages I want to share with the world. And whether that be through music, whether that be through comedy, whether it be through writing, that's what I want to do is like share my message. And my message is raise your own bar. Like that's the crux of my message. That's why this podcast is called that. That's why my business is called that. I want to share with the world and show with my actions anybody can better themselves no matter where they come from. Like, look, my mom was a teenager. I came from poverty. We were on welfare. Like, look at me. I have 4 degrees and 0 student loan debt because I have raised my own bar continuously
Mm.
through life. And that's what I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've learned a lot from you, though. I have. You are one of the most intelligent people that I know, and I love talking to smart people. I love just having conversations because I know that I'm learning, and they're not learning anything talking to me, but I'm learning something talking to them. I mean, I have useless facts, and
You have a lot of wisdom, Tyler.
well, I
You
have.
don't give yourself enough credit. I will tell you right now, you are wise beyond what you give yourself credit for. And maybe you look at yourself as like, oh, I'm this country boy, whatever. First of all, country folk are some of the best people in the
They
entire
are.
world.
They
They
are.
really are because they've had to band together to help their neighbors and help their families more than city folk. So I have a soft spot as somebody who grew up in LA and then moved to Podunkville, Ohio, in the middle of nowhere. Like I've seen both sides, and country
Mhm.
people are some of the most kindest, good people on this earth that I've ever met. And regardless of whether you're a country boy or not, you're freaking smart, dude. You may not have a degree, you don't have to have an education formally to be smart. Like you see how the world works, and you know how to convey that message to other people to help them. So that's why I wanted to interview you because you also have raised your bar a lot in life and you are helping other people to raise their bars through mentorship and encouragement. And so I'll get off my soapbox. But
Thank you so much. That was sweet. That was very sweet. But the wisdom came from earning it. And
yeah,
and at one point, I thought I knew a lot about a lot, and that was unearned wisdom. And so I've had to learn the lesson of beware of unearned wisdom. Just stop talking about things that you really don't know what you're talking about. And so all the stuff that I'm sharing to people that could potentially help turn your life around is because I've been there. I'm still there, and I choose to keep moving forward in a positive direction because my family depends on me. My kids depend on me. My friends depend on me, and I need me. I need me, and and learning how to use your mind. That that is the first step. As well, no, first step is taking accountability to
mm,
everything that you've messed up in your whole life, and realize, hey, maybe I do need some work. Who's going to work on me? Oh, I got to be my own mechanic. I have to work on me. I have to do the work myself. Ain't nobody going to think for you. Some, at some point in life, I wanted other people to do my thinking for me. I know
mm,
that sounds bad and everything, but I did. I wanted my dad to do my thinking for me, to fix things around the house. I wanted other people to do. I wanted to do the very bare minimum, and now, uh, I'm nothing like that anymore. I yearn to learn. Like I love learning. I love listening to educational podcasts, watching Discovery Channel. I'm always learning about something. And I did learn that the Appalachian Mountains is like 600 million years old. And then the Himalayan Mountains is the youngest mountain ranges, but
yeah,
the tallest.
yeah. Because over time they erode, and so the tallest ones are going to be the youngest, and the shortest ones are going to be the
Yeah.
oldest. Yeah.
Yeah. I never knew that until like 2 years ago. And the Rockies is really young, about 70 million years old. But
Well, look, all
oh,
we
that,
can do is keep learning, and I love your attitude because, as I'm sure you're realizing, the more you learn, the less you realize you really don't know shit.
yep, you,
Like,
that right there, that's the key. That's the key. And realize that nobody's going to save you. You've got to do it yourself, and to don't think about being a productive member of your community right at the beginning. Be a productive member to yourself and to your family.
yeah.
Take care of your own backyard first, and really hone into that, and then it will start sprouting out, and you'll naturally be able to, you'll naturally start helping people in ways that you didn't think was possible, because a lot of people thinks that you have to help people with money, and sometimes you ain't got money, but
Mm,
you got some words of encouragement. And I know some people don't want to hear that. Some people's like, I'd rather have $20, buy some
mm,
dope with. And I'll tell you no. I tried telling my buddy he's in prison now, but he had a lot going for him, and his personality's magnetic. He's a naturally funny guy. I love him to death. Still love him. Um, but he ended up getting around the wrong people. He was hanging out with some good folks, and doing what he was supposed to do. And but he ended up going around with the wrong crowd, the crowd that does meth and starts breaking into people's houses, and
mm.
breaking into people's houses because he said it was a big adrenaline rush. Not just stealing this people's stuff, but he said it's just a huge adrenaline rush. I was like, somebody's gonna blow your head off.
For real,
He
man.
said, but that's the rush. That's the rush. And I was like, and so I kind of just stopped talking to him when I started figuring out that he's just getting strung out. And I tried talking to him, about it, and he hit me up. He said, "Hey Tyler, you got $40 I can borrow." He's like, "I will pay you back Friday," and I knew he would. I ain't even worried about the money. I was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, I do." I was like, "You'll have to take me to the ATM," and so he takes me, and he's all like wired up and shit. And I give him the $40. I said, "Hey, I know what this is going to," and he looks at me. He said, "You have no idea what it's like," and I was like, "Motherfucker, I'm a drug addict. I know exactly what it's like." I was like, "You've came way too far to throw it away. You're about to throw your life away, and you're gonna have and time is just gonna keep passing by. It's going to happen." Well, a month later, he ends up going getting caught. Um, got a lot of warrants on him, and now he'll be out. That was 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. He'll be out in a couple years, but um, and I talked to him twice on the jail phone, and I didn't bring up nothing like "I told you so" or nothing like that, because hell, he knew. And he
Sure.
didn't want to talk to me at first because he thought that I was going to be like that, and I still ain't like that. It's just part of the story, and I ended up making him laugh, and he started just having this like he's like, "Man, dude, you have no idea what it it how it makes me feel, you calling me or wanting to talk to me, and and you still love me." I was like, "Dude, I will always love you." I was like, "You're my buddy, man." And I was like, "You just got to stay away from them meth heads." And I know you don't want to call them meth heads, but it's a terrible, terrible drug that has been eating people's minds, and not just meth anymore. It's fentanyl,
Yeah.
and I would like to try
I've
to.
lost a few family members to drugs, and it's really scary.
Yeah,
Um, Meth, heroin, opioids,
yeah, all of
cocaine,
that.
crack. I mean, it's really scary the drugs that I have seen and surrounded myself with, and that's why I don't touch nothing. Like
Mhm.
it actually scares the crap out of me because I probably would do one of those drugs one time and be hooked. And so you just have to stay away from it. You just have.
Well, yeah, and birds of a feather do flock together, and but I also am for moderation. But you ain't gonna do meth and fentanyl
You're
and
not gonna
heroin
do meth in
in
moderation. I don't think
moderation.
so.
That's never gonna happen. I think when they say moderation, I think they're talking about marijuana and alcohol.
Alcohol, yeah,
But what do you
and
think about?
chocolate cake.
Oh yeah, well, you know, what got me off of opiates was a psychedelic trip that I had on mushrooms 5 6 years ago, and it rewired my brain to
Mm.
where I wasn't thinking about them like I used to, and I was like, "Damn, this is crazy." I don't. Now it was a bad trip, and I don't recommend it for anybody. Uh, but I do think that there's something there with psychedelics therapy in a controlled environment. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of science to back it up too, with mushrooms, with ibogaine, with DMT. There's a lot of really positive research when it comes to helping people overcome not only addiction but PTSD. I mean,
Mm,
there's a huge movement right now to give veterans suffering from PTSD psychedelics to help them process. So I'm all for it. And our government, of course, a lot of things are illegal for reasons that are not quite valid. Um,
mhm,
as we know, even marijuana is still illegal at the federal level, even though a lot of states, I think more than half at this point, states have legalized for recreational use out of fear, out of a lack of understanding. And I think the same is true of mushrooms. And I do think it's medicinal. You know, you don't take people don't take mushrooms for the most part. If you're wise, you don't take them to get high. You take them to process your
mhm,
past and your trauma and like you said, reset your brain. I mean, I've talked to over a dozen people that have said that they've rewired their brain and were able to let go of their addictions and let go of their past trauma from doing DMT, mushrooms, and LSD.
Mm. It's definitely changed the trajectory of my life. But yeah, I don't take them for fun. I don't want to. If I'm going to do them, I'm not going to do them with just anybody or any. I like being in a safe space,
Yeah.
and I take them for medicinal purposes, and they have helped me tremendously. I don't want to take them the next day. I don't even take them a couple months down the road. Just it's a one-time thing. Or if you microdose, you can do that. But I like to. I do like to feel it. So it's but it's helped me a lot. Just
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Is that what was able to get you to let go of your addiction?
yes, yes, it was. And it's nothing like Suboxone. Suboxone, I believe, is terrible for you. I've tried Suboxone. When I worked in that steel plant, a lot of people had prescriptions for Suboxone, and I was like, "How in the hell did you get prescription for that Suboxone?" Oh, you just got to go to the doctor. Go to the doctor, tell them that you're a drug addict and you would like some drugs, please. And they said, okay, here's some Suboxone. And we'd be selling them 10, or they would be selling them to me and everybody else for $10 a strip. And I would take it, and just a little bit would a dab or do you. But then I started realizing that everybody's temper was going up, including mine. We was all angry, and it was all the ones who was taking Suboxone. And then I stopped taking it. I was like, damn, I'm not angry anymore. There's something to that. Why
Well,
is
it's
it
a drug. I mean, it's a mind altering drug.
yeah.
And just like methadone, it's okay, so you're no longer a meth addict. Now you're a methadone addict. How
Yeah.
does this help?
Yeah. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
does this help? So you're not buying the drugs on the street. Now you're getting them from the pharmaceutical company. How is this any better? You're still destroying your life. You're still addicted. You're still letting it rule you. So I actually just thought of a joke. Uh, what do they call it when you're off meth, but you're addicted to Suboxone? Alabama sober.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
It's
God.
so terrible. It's so terrible.
No, but that is a good
But
joke.
you
You
hear
better
like California sober, right?
yes.
That's where you don't do any hard drugs, but you still smoke weed, right? The
God, that
Alabama sober is when you're still doing Suboxone.
damn, that is a good one. That is a good one. Cheers to that one. That's a good yeah.
That's
Alabama
terrible.
sober. God, I love that. That is damn. I wish I came up with that. Yeah, but
I'm
yeah.
really glad that you got sober though, Tyler, for
Oh
real.
yeah.
Really glad that you dived into comedy and that you stuck with it and that you're here to share your journey with us. And you know, as we wrap this up, first I want to thank you for being so open and sharing your life and your struggles and your journey with us. Um, is there anything that you could offer as words of wisdom or advice or encouragement to people that are still struggling with addiction and what they can do to let it go?
Yeah. Realize that change is gradual. Real change is gradual, and that some days you're not going to be perfect. It's not going to be a good day, but as long as you're taking steps in the right direction and learning to focus on day to day, sometimes minute by minute, moment to moment, um, and just realize that true change is slow change, and not everything's going to happen overnight. And that if you keep moving forward and keep heading in a direction that 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 is, if you keep heading in a direction that that you have that's filled with love and compassion, then I don't see how you can go wrong with that. Um, Sometimes it's hard to have compassion for people, but if you can just remember love, and compassion, you'll make a lot less regrets in your life with having that. And stop being self-centered. Stop being a self-centered person. Stop thinking about yourself all the time. That's hard to do sometimes, but you know, get out of your head. But anyway, that's like a lot of words that I had. But anyways,
Yeah, no, that's good advice. Get out of your head and get into your body. That's what I try to tell Andrew when he gets wrapped up in anxiety and stuff. It happens sometimes. Um, he's very analytical and spends a lot of time in his head. But if you can just get into your body instead and be present and feel gratitude, and circling back to what you said before, getting yourself into the mindset of gratitude is a very positive way to turn your mood around, turn your attitude around, and really turn your life around.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important. That gratitude is being grateful when you wake up. Like, thank you,
Yeah, thank you
thank you for
for
everything.
waking
Thank you,
up. I mean,
thank you for hot water. Thank you for air conditioning. Thank you for the food. Thank you for water, for clean water. You know,
yeah,
we're spoiled. We're spoiled.
we are. We
We're
absolutely
very
are.
spoiled. Um,
So I did have one more thing I wanted to touch on, and that's your new podcast.
yes, the No Insurance Podcast. It's ran by me and Ryan Keel and Brett Loudermilk, and we have been putting out some great conversations. We've been having some amazing conversations, like me and you have had here. We talk about mental health. We talk about some funny things, stories, but we dive into substance abuse and we're not solving any problems with it, but we are discussing how substance abuse and mental health has affected our lives and what kind of steps maybe Alabama could take in treating some of these mental health problems and substance abuse problems. But it's also a no filtered podcast. We're pretty much flowing in conversation, and we do have some amazing conversations. It it's the funnest podcast I've been a part of. Been able to build something special with these guys, and right now we just have sound. It's on Spotify and YouTube. I'm working on getting some cameras. I'm actually going to get a camera tomorrow, and we're gonna get multiple cameras and start bringing in guests when we get to that point. Uh,
Nice.
but we've got a sound guy and everything, and it's legit. We got microphones. We got yeah. We're talking about some pretty deep stuff sometimes too. We're talking about suicide and I shared a story with it ain't out yet, that episode about how I almost killed myself,
Mm,
and but my kids saved me. And anyways, but it's No Insurance Podcast.
love it. Can't wait to listen to it myself. And where can people that want to hear more, besides your podcast that you've shared on that you can find on Spotify, where can they follow you and
Oh,
hear your comedy
Tyler
and
Perea.
check out your work?
Okay, Tyler Perea, Facebook.com. I mean, Tyler Perea on Facebook, just my name, and then Perea Tyler on Instagram. I got my last name first. That's where I've been posting a lot of my comedy clips at, is on Instagram, and that's pretty much it. I I've been networking a lot through Instagram, so if you have an Instagram, look me up and I'll follow you back.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. This has been a pleasure, and thank you for sharing with us how you've raised your bar and how you continue to do so on this crazy thing we call life.
Thank you, Tammy. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.